Hi everyone! Today we're going to discuss a very important topic in political thought and ideology, and that is Machiavelli and his famous book, The Prince. So, who exactly was Machiavelli? And what was so important about his political views? Let us start with a little bit of background on him. In 15th century Italy, in the city of Florence, there was a diplomat called Niccolo Machiavelli. He had risen to power from a lower class family with his intelligence and hard work. He worked here at the Palazzo Vecchio. But this was during the time the ruling family, the Medici, were thrown out of power. Soon after, there was a lot of turmoil in Florence. The Medici family returned to power, and this proved to be a very, very bad thing for Machiavelli. He was removed from power and wrongly thrown in jail. He was released 1 year later and exiled never to return to Florence. Since he couldn't take part in any political activity anymore, he started writing a book, which was meant as a gift for the Medici ruler of Florence, Lorenzo the Magnificent. This book later became known as The Prince and has remained a very influential and also controversial book in political thought. It basically deals with the concepts of the qualities of a good leader and how he can use force to bring power for himself. Also, it talks very controversially about the balance between brutality and kindness that should exist in a good leader. Another very important concept here is how a prince should behave with his people. So let's talk about the qualities of a good politician. Who exactly is a good politician? Someone who's cunning and someone who's cruel, or someone who is always honest and kind? To Machiavelli, the former properties matter more. And why is that? Simply because they lead to more efficiency. A politician should not only be willing to use force whenever it is necessary in order to maintain his power. At the same time, he should also be capable of keeping a good face in front of the people, even if his activities aren't particularly likable. Hypocritical? Yes, but it's also very efficient. So this brings us to the concept of virtue. So some of you might think it's like virtue, but actually it's quite different. Virtue literally means masculinity in Latin. For Machiavelli, it is related to qualities like skills, good leadership, valor, and most importantly, martial spirit. Like we discussed before, a good ruler should not be afraid to use coercion. Machiavelli also believed that instead of only hurting his enemies, he should be able to completely eradicate them. Because if you hurt someone a little, they can rise for revenge, but if you destroy them, they are dealt with forever. Along with this, he should also have the ability to keep people in his favor in order to maintain his legitimacy and power. An excellent example of a good politician for Machiavelli is Cesare Borgia. He was the Duke of Valentino, whose fighting for power was one of the major influences for the writing of The Prince. He came into power due to his father, the Pope Alexander VI, but for Machiavelli, what was more important was how he was able to control it. He renounced the cardinal and went to become the duke. What he did next was eliminating all his rivals and gaining control of the new principality, Romagna, by sending in one of his most royal men. He used a lot of force and brought Romagna under control, but there was a lot of bloodshed as well. Now this was a good thing for Borgia, but there was one problem. The people were not happy at all. So what he did next was he killed his own man, cut his body in half, and displayed it in the middle of the town. Not only did this persuade the people, but made them fear Borgia. Since there was already a lot of bloodshed, Borgia went on to build parks and fountains and whatnot, and to bring prosperity to the people, and soon became very popular. All of these qualities were highly admired by Machiavelli. Now, just as Borgia is a good leader, Machiavelli also talks about a bad leader, that is, Girolamo Savonarola. He was a friar at the church who claimed to be a prophet. When France was attacked by Italy, people thought that his prophecies are going to become true, and soon he gained a lot of popularity and a very large following. He was able to lead the revolution against the Medici family and to throw them out of power and assume power himself. But what he did wrong was that he did not eradicate his opponents and built himself a proper foundation. This soon led to his incarceration by the Pope and later his execution. So what do we gather from all of this? Should a prince always be cruel and just kill everyone around him? Is that it? Well, Machiavelli tells us that there must be a balance between being efficient and also being endearing to the people. If he can't get this balance right, he is doomed to fail. So now, we know who Machiavelli is and what his political views are. But why is it important to know all of this? especially given the fact that our world has shifted from monarchies to democracies, and people now represent themselves. Well, people like politicians, businessmen, and other influential figures still use dishonesty, corruption, and force in order to gain power. So does the common man. They only care about the ends instead of the means. Whether this is right or wrong is not up to us to decide. But we can surely say that in order to understand this behavior of people and the struggle for power, the prince serves as an excellent example. So now we will end this discussion, and we hope that you were able to take something home from it. In the end, there's a simple question for you to ponder upon. How Machiavellian are you?